Have you ever heard of a god who basically started out as a failure? Well, today we're diving into the incredible story of one of the most popular and maybe most misunderstood deities in the Taoist pantheon. This is a god whose journey to immortality is, you'll see, surprisingly and really relatably human.
So let me just start with a question for you. Which single god do you think you pray to for help with your exams, your business, a good haircut, and a really tough breakup? Yeah, the answer might surprise you.
We are talking about Lu Dongbin. He's a top-tier immortal, a true divine multitasker who's also at the center of some pretty fascinating celestial gossip. But what makes him so special is his origin story. It's honestly one of the most relatable you'll ever hear. Okay, first things first, let's just take a look at his divine resume, because it is seriously impressive. This is a god whose responsibilities stretch across pretty much every part of human life. I mean, his range is just incredible. He's not only a major Taoist figure, he's the go-to deity for students cramming for exams, miners heading into the earth, barbers with scissors in hand, and even doctors. This totally down-to-earth appeal has kept him popular for over 1,000 years. So how in the world did he land all these jobs? Well, believe it or not, it all started with failure. Let's dive into his origin story, which is not some tale of a divine birth, but a very human story of ambition, frustration, and what you could definitely call a major midlife crisis.
So, he was born into a family of government officials. We're talking ancient Chinese nobility, basically. And he was brilliant, a classic child prodigy who could write poetry when he was just 5. Everyone expected him to follow in his family's footsteps and achieve greatness. There was just one tiny problem.
He failed the Imperial Civil Service exam twice. Now, this was the most important test of his time, the absolute key to a successful career, and even with all his genius, he just couldn't pass it. For a prodigy from a family like his, this was a completely crushing blow. So picture this. He's 64 years old, his dreams of a big government career are totally in tatters, and he's just drowning his sorrows in a tavern. And it's there that he meets this mysterious, charismatic figure, the immortal Zhang Liquan. As the immortal started cooking some yellow millet rice, Lu Dongbin, just weary from wine and from life, drifted off to sleep. And in that nap, he lived an entire lifetime. He dreamt he finally passed the exam and rose all the way to become prime minister. He married into a wealthy family, he had successful kids, and for 50 years, he just basked in the glory and the power and the respect he had always craved. It was the absolute pinnacle of worldly success. But then, just as quickly as it all came, it vanished. He was framed by his political rivals, his fortune was seized, his family was torn apart. His dream ended with him totally alone, broke, freezing to death in a blizzard. He jolts awake, his heart is pounding, only to see the immortal smiling at him from across the table. And get this, the yellow millet rice wasn't even fully cooked yet. Zhang Liquan just asks him, how was that 50 years of glory? In that single moment, Lu Dongbin got it. He was enlightened. He understood that all worldly success is just as fleeting and unreal as a dream. But, enlightenment was just the first step. To truly become an immortal, he had to prove he was worthy. So, his new master put him through a series of 10 really intense trials, all designed to test his newfound wisdom and his resolve. And these trials were no joke. He faced the sudden death of his entire family, complete financial ruin, seduction, false accusations, you name it. And through it all, he stayed calm, detached, and humble. Each test was designed to strip away his attachments to the mortal world, forging the virtues and immortal needs. So, after passing all 10 trials, he received his graduation gift, the secrets of immortality and the legendary heavenly escape sword. Now, this wasn't just a weapon. It was a tool to cut through ignorance, illusion, and all kinds of negativity. And this sword would become absolutely central to his divine career. So now that we know his backstory, that divine portfolio of his starts to make a whole lot more sense, right? Let's see exactly how this failed scholar became heaven's go-to problem solver. His role as god of literature? That's a no-brainer. He was a brilliant scholar, so he gets the pressure of exams. His connection to mining comes from his famous pure metal sword. And the barber story is fantastic. He supposedly posed as a barber to magically heal the Ming Emperor's head sores, saving the lives of all the other barbers who had failed.
So, the key takeaway here is his divine jobs are rooted in his earthly experiences and his compassionate actions.
All right, now for the fun part. A god this popular is bound to attract some rumors, you know? So let's do a little myth busting and clear up the two biggest pieces of divine gossip that follow Lu Dongbin around.
So, you may have heard that some of his temples are breakup temples and that couples shouldn't go there. The rumor is that he's bitter after being rejected by the goddess He Shangu. But the reality is actually much more profound. See, his sword is designed to cut away negativity and illusion. So, if you go there with your partner, it's said he'll test the bond. If it's an unhealthy attachment, he'll help sever it. But if it's true love, he'll protect it.
And this one perfectly illustrates how myths are born. There's a famous Chinese idiom, dog bites Lu Dongbin, which means to mistake a kind person for an enemy. But the saying didn't come from a literal dog bite. No way. It came from a misunderstanding of his friend's name, Go Yao, which sounds almost exactly like dog bites in Mandarin. Go Yao was playing a prank on him to test their friendship, and the name just stuck in the wrong way for centuries. So, if you're feeling inspired to pay your respects to this fascinating deity, how do you do it right? Don't worry, here's a quick and easy guide.
He's known for being pretty easygoing, but he does have his favorites. As the wine immortal, he definitely appreciates a good bottle of wine. If you're a student, bring your pens and notebooks. And of course, you can't go wrong with auspicious fruits like apples for peace and oranges for good luck. But there is one specific offering to avoid: dragon fruit. Now, folklore gives us a couple of reasons for this. One idea is that, as a master of purification, he avoids offerings that look like flesh. Another is that the fruit's tons of seeds conflict with his pure yang energy. Whatever the reason, it's probably best to just leave this one at home.
When you pray to him, the most important thing is just honesty. Lu Dongbin really dislikes falsehood. And instead of just asking for a lucky break, try asking for the wisdom to solve your problems. That's a request a scholar god truly appreciates. And of course, if he helps you out, remember to go back and show your gratitude. So, what can we take away from all this? The story of Lu Dongbin is this powerful reminder that our greatest wisdom often comes not from our successes, but from our failures. He became a beloved god not despite his struggles, but because of them, which kind of leaves us with a final thought. If a deity who truly understands failure, frustration, and starting over could give you one piece of advice for your own life, what do you think that would be?